And we are live. These are always interesting when I do the live ones, but it feels definitely like a night for a live podcast. For those who have not experienced these before, it's going to be partial video with the podcast kind of in the middle. I'll kind of get things set up so I can bounce back and forth between the two. But yeah, no, we are going to try this. Okay. So I'm just going to do a final bit of online promotion here. And then from there, we will dive into all of this. So again, I apologize. Thanks, Derpy. Glad you're here. So here I go. I'm going to officially start the podcast side of this. No video intro when we do this. Okay. It is another live edition of Locked On Guardians. That means no video intro. We're still going to have a typical show, but come on. It is currently the ninth inning of a tie game and game one of a series that's going to help figure out this division. I can't not go live. I have to be here. I have to do this. Can I talk about some differences in approach right now in the ninth? I love the fact that Chicago realized high leverage is high leverage and went right to their closer. I know Enyel just struck out his first player he faced, but like he is not. He's been very good this year, but he is not who I want to go to in what is a playoff environment. You have. I understand we've already had 99. We've already had Stefan. We've had Sandlin, and you know they're leading with the right-handed hitter there, and he's done well. So I guess maybe it looks bad for me to say that, but I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if he's the guy I go to in that situation. Speaking of this game, it has been a little bit of a frustrator for me. One, Cleveland should be up 4-3 right now. Yes, the umpire completely blew the call at home. It was a lazy call. He was in bad position. It was a quick play. Like at first I was like, oh, don't go home, Ahmed. But it was the right call. He is a strong base runner. And, you know, he came burrowing. No, he wasn't a burrow. Barreling around, and he was safe at home. 100% he was safe at home. This should be a 4-3 game. Class A should be out here. We should be talking about how the Guardians' magic number is 10. Right? 10. But instead, we're sitting there going, okay, let's hope for extras because of a bad call. Now, at the same time, they should have had a challenge there. It was such a wasted challenge on that stolen base attempt by Elvis Andrus. That was a... You're not going to get that overturned. Like, that's why you have a replay coordinator to look at that and be like, no, don't challenge that. So they can go out and challenge the play that changes this game. If they lose in extra innings, it'll be because they poorly managed replays. Which, I mean, if you're a Cleveland sports fan, you've been a Browns fan for any point in your life, I guess you're just kind of used to that. But, right now, if Enyel can complete, he's got a 1-2 count while I'm recording this. If he can complete this, we're talking about this game not being over because of not having a replay challenge. Because they wasted it and because an umpire was in poor position. Those are both extremely frustrating. My other complaint, Aaron Civale since July 13th has thrown 20 total innings. Why are you sending him out? The fifth inning, he gave up 2 hits. It's not like he was shut down, dominant in the fifth. And there we go, extra innings. This game shouldn't be in extras. Cleveland should have won. Frustrating. Like, it's so important of a game. You're facing Dylan Cease against Aaron Civale, who's been hurt. To win this game is huge. This is the one the White Sox are counting on. This is their back pocket game. This is the game the White Sox thought they had won before it even started. Cleveland winning this, on top of just taking away a game that is the one that they're supposed to win, it guarantees the tiebreaker. It essentially takes that division lead and makes it 5.5. And like I said, it knocks that magic number down to 10. And it really puts the division almost out of reach for the White Sox already. And then you got the 2 more games with McKenzie and Bieber. And yeah, no, it's just that's what makes this extra frustrating from that perspective. But to go back to my point about why I am peak frustrated. Okay, umpires being lazy, wasting a challenge. 3, why are you sitting Civale out? 20 innings since July 13th. You're going back to the top of the order, 3rd time through the order for a guy who, and you can just look at his game log. He went 4 innings, 6 innings, 4 2/3, 6 1/3. Don't send him out there. If he had maybe blazed through the 5th without an issue, but no, the 5th he ran into some danger. I'm not sending him out there in the 6th. And then when you already have 2 base runners on, it's a high leverage situation. Why are you going to Sandlin, who has the worst control of the grouping? You've got, I understand, this is where I get frustrated with kind of the outdated thought of, okay, so Stefan, Karinchak, and Clase are only for the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. So when you go into the 6th, you're throwing your 4th bat, because that's Sandlin's inning, just because, hey, he's the next guy. It's like, no, that is a high leverage situation. Go get your high leverage pitcher. So those are kind of my views, my takes, my frustrations in the early part of this game. For the fans out there, what did you think? What did you feel? I realize I completely blew through everything I'm supposed to do at the start of a show. I want to thank everyone who is still here for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today, every day, wherever you get podcasts. I am Jeff Ellis, the host of Locked On Guardians, as I have been for 796 of these now, I believe. Graveman is in to pitch. That is unfortunate. The White Sox really have 2 relievers that I have any concerns with. This is one of them. But yeah, to get into this game, in depth. Right now, Sandlin went 1 inning, Stefan went 1, 99 went 1, and they might try to get more out of him. We'll see how this goes. If they get a run across, they'll go to Class A, obviously. If not, they might see what they got with him. It's going to be a situation where, they don't know how long it's going to go, and they don't have a lot of guys. I feel like they can try. Oh, come on, don't. I guess it's not the worst thing for Ahmed. It was just like, get out of play. They're going to walk Ramirez here. Yes, I do have an earpiece in. I'm listening to the Chicago broadcast. As I'm recording, I'm multitasking for the sake of getting as much information as possible while I'm also recording. But yeah, so I have the game going while listening, while recording. Let me know how it goes, and if it is terrible, I will never attempt this ever again. But let's take our... No, we're not going to take a break. What the heck am I saying? Jose Ramirez at the plate. We're going to delay. Let's talk about what I brought up for point 2 of the podcast. One of those things that I'm going to try to be fancy and share my screen. Let's see if this works in the video. I have pulled up Elvis Andrus's. So they did walk Jose. Elvis Andrus's statistical performance against opposing teams. And would you be shocked that Cleveland is far and away number 1? Number 2, the Braves and Milwaukee are teams he has less than 56 and 49 plate appearances. Tampa is next with over 300. Houston would be next at over 700. That's if we skip Colorado, who's a little over 100. But the point is to go down to like Houston down there, that's a 751. Cleveland is a 914. Milwaukee, the number 2 team, is an 878. This guy, for whatever reason, has always killed Cleveland. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, this is probably one of those things where I just think this is the case, but it's not actually the case. But no, it is 100% the case. The other side would be the Toronto Blue Jays with 346 plate appearances and a 593 OPS for his career. He legitimately feasts on Cleveland. I thought that was something I had to show. I also tweeted it. So if you are someone who doesn't watch and listens, you can go find me at JeffMLB Draft to see that. And he has continued to be a thorn. Like, in this game, he has been a thorn. J-Rock6, thanks for joining us. I appreciate everyone who comes in, no matter their view. I will say, sitting here listening to this game, it is kind of refreshing how much the White Sox crew just emits when a pitch is outside. Like, that is something I don't expect. Like, when they're like, no, that was a bad pitch, like, about their own guys. You can't get mad. Is that going to draw? There we go. Naylor. Oh no! Oh, he made it. I thought for sure they're gonna tag him. I can't believe it. Woo! This is why this is I mean, sorry, J Rock, but why this to me feels like a gut punch if Cleveland pulls this off is because Cease versus Civale should have been the giveaway game. That's the game that I was like, okay, they're gonna lose this one. If you are a White Sox fan, this was a must win because it is such an advantage. Such an advantage. And a good run there by Jose, even though I always get nervous with those head first slides. Fine when you're doing it into third. I wish everyone used that glove. Okay? I wish everyone used that glove. I need to take my first commercial break here, so if everyone will pardon me, I'm going to do that. Which means now you get this part is me not actually doing the audio recording of the podcast. You get kind of a bonus here. 2 runs. Nice. Nice. Can't believe it. I'll take it. I will take it. Hey, I have a really high batting average with these games. The Naylor walk-off, it's been pretty good. My luck in these games turning around. You can go watch and follow. I seem to have been kind of good luck at points in time. We'll see if it can continue. But boy, such a surprising, such a happy situation right now. I need to record when I'm going to be doing for the podcast this live read. Very different here on the audio, on the video. You guys get a different experience when it's a live stream. You get to see behind the picture. Oh, and I got a treat for you video watchers. They hear me talk about the Blue Chews. Listen, we have our ad read. We're going to do it. It is our first and oldest sponsor, and I will always appreciate Blue Chew for being first through the door. And if you want to be first through the door, Blue Chew is going to help you be first through that bedroom door. It is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable tablet and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive a prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line, and everything is mailed discreetly to your door. Blue Chew tablets are made in the U.S. and prepared and shipped directly to your door in a discreet package, so no one is the wiser. Listen, it can be an embarrassing thing to talk about. I get that. A tongue-in-cheek take on it. But it is great how much they value your privacy, and they understand that certain things are delicate to talk about. If you've ever been curious, if you've ever wanted to try it, well, now is the time to do it because we got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. You just got to pay the $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code LOCKEDON to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for continuing to sponsor this podcast. Okay, I'm back. I'm sure... this game. How about it? It's just... Jimenez, stop sliding into first base. Yeah, it's great. It's 5-3. I feel very good about that. Class A on the mound, but for the love of God, stop sliding into first base. I feel like that sketch on Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell right now. It's like, can someone show Jimenez that like legitimately slows him down and does not bring any value to getting into first and just is going to lead to injury? Can you please stop sliding head first or tumbling into, whatever he's doing? Please don't do it anymore. So on yesterday's show, I was talking about the 2004 Indians. Well, it turns out I was wrong, very wrong. It was not the 2004 Indians that were the team that I remembered and that I had this great kind of bittersweet love affair with. It was actually the 2005 Indians, which was pointed out by former Waiting for Next Year Cleveland writer Andrew Clayman and one of my longest friends in life, just kind of a funny happenstance that we both ended up writing about baseball, specifically the Cleveland Guardians, something that was just kind of born and bred at us. But yeah, I guess that makes sense because 2005 is when the White Sox won the World Series, and that was the year that Cleveland had a chance to get that playoff positioning. They had 93 wins that year and didn't make the postseason. 93 wins. This team this year won't get to 93 wins. I feel a pretty good chance. That feels like a pretty confident thing to say, but this is a very fun team in spite of that. A team that I'm going to very much enjoy when they hit the postseason. I know one of the big slams I see is that this team is like, oh, enjoy losing in the first round, and that's like the laziest thing. The same thing is like people who also want to like slam this team for this, that, or the other thing. It's like, what's the expression? They hate us because they ain't us. Like, that is right now the feeling of this team. They're in first place. They're gonna make the postseason. The Twins, the White Sox, I understand, their frustrations as fans, but all those teams would gladly switch spots and be in the postseason. Because let's be honest, the postseason is a crapshoot. The closest this team has gotten to winning it all, 1997, which was the year that they were going to have a similar record to this year, that they were not expected to make it. In 2016, where I always, for some reason, have the confusion about that year in my head, but where the entire starting pitching staff was hurt virtually. The two times that they should have been the least likely to advance, they went the deepest. So never discount anyone, and what carries you in the postseason is often bullpens. This team has a bullpen to carry them. So, yeah, whenever anyone's like, enjoy losing in the first round, enjoy getting swept, I'm just like, I will enjoy every postseason game I get, and I'm just going to be very happy to experience those games. Now we got Clase on the mound to finish this one up for the Cleveland Guardians. Another potential win. They get this one. That magic number becomes 10. It's it's kind of crazy just to go back and think. Part of me wants to, like, as an episode this week, repost the roundtable from the American League Central. And it's not to slam anyone, but the last 2 years I've had to go to the mat to defend the Guardians and really say, like, they're not a bad team. It's not even like I'm going to the mat saying they're going to win the division. I just said, hey, this is a sleeper team, just like I talked about why the Guardians minor leagues were the best in the division, and I got kind of joked on about that. And I'm like, guys, if there's one thing you learn spending a lot of time studying the minors, that it's about depth, not blue chips. And you can go back and look at it, and the blue chips from this division, do any of them have a WAR over 1? Is a single one of the top 20 prospects who started the year in the top 20 amongst this division? Nothing there. That's unfortunate. But to go back to that point, it's like, the Torkelsons, the Greens, the Wits really haven't lived up to that hype. But it's the same thing. People just keep wanting to think that this team, okay, so now they're going to rebuild. It's like, oh, no, they just kept building these waves. They're the youngest team in the big leagues. They're younger than AAA teams, and now they have a top 5 minor league system, and it looks like they're going to make the postseason. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue to build, because do you try to keep Ahmed? How much do they value him internally? Or do you promote some young guys? And if you're not going to promote the young guys, you got to consider trading them, because otherwise you're just having an asset in AAA that doesn't do anything. So I'm very curious to see how this team continues to build and evolve, because they are so good right now, and they have so much talent coming down the pipe. And, man, it's going to be interesting to watch this team overall the postseason, right? First the postseason, and then beyond that, as they go into, there we get out number 1. I'll take it. You know what? Getting the lead runner, 1 run across, totally fine. It's totally fine. Getting that out is the important thing there. I am content. I realize one of the things I didn't talk about earlier in the game was the horrible error sequence, which that throw there made me think about. Can we talk about the fact that like a team that has been built on defense, Ahmed gives a really bad throw, or not? Well, let's start. Andres, I still think it's going to be Cleveland right now. That's who my prediction is for who's going to win this. Andre Jimenez, bad throw, but I don't know how you short hop the throw from second to first. That was, another one of those situations. This team, in a lot of respects, does not deserve to win this game. But you still got to consider them the favorites. I don't know what the percentage odds are, in terms of everything else, but when you got Clase, who's been the best reliever in baseball, I don't want any arguments. For me, I think he is. Oof, that one almost got away from him, though. He has been the best reliever in baseball with one out. I still feel very good about Cleveland's chances in this one. Let's, for the sake of the podcast, let's take break number 2 right here. I'll write down, do a spot, and then we're going to get into the box score of what is hopefully going to be a big win for the Cleveland Guardians. Cleaning up. That big of a gap, let's be honest. Okay, let's talk some box scores in this game as we go. Who are the 3 stars for Cleveland today? Kwan's got 3 hits. Naylor's got 2 hits. For a team that rarely walks, they had 6 walks in this game so far. That's kind of amazing. Jimenez is the only extra base hit. That triple that was the first run in this game. Civale 5 innings with those. I would argue you don't throw. I would honestly not. I would just indifference. And you're not getting. Yes, if you get it, you can. But there's too many negative opportunities, and this was nearly one of them. You don't want him going to third. Okay, you don't. So I think you just hold on the ball and you eat it in that situation, and you don't risk it. And they got the strikeout. You're just going 1-1 here. Okay, you got situation going on. And this is a massive, massive matchup with Jose Abreu. Deep breath time. But just again to talk about how this game is played out. By the way, Jose Abreu, free agent to be for the Chicago White Sox. Just saying, if this team wanted to go out and make a internal... when he came over from Cuba, if you could still find Indians Baseball Insider back when that was it, I wrote a piece on why the Guardians should take a risk on Jose Abreu. It was, now he's 35. I don't know. But we talked about Carlos Santana on yesterday's show and how he'd be an interesting addition. Jose Abreu, last year, the only question is he an every other year guy? Like, that's the weirdest thing in baseball, and I swear they exist. There are those guys who are just even or odd years, they're better. 1-1 count. Going back into the 3 stars in this one. When we discuss, who reached base more than once in this game, who are our 2 reach base guys? Well, you can just go down the line. It's Kwan, it's Jose, it's Naylor, it's Oscar Gonzalez with a walk. Always a positive development for him. We don't see enough of those. And that's really it. The bottom of the lineup was not very super productive in this one. They did have the timely walks when they needed it. But that 1 triple by Rosario is the only extra base hit as well. 1-2 count. Here we go. Right now, for me, I think you have to consider Kwan and Naylor the guys. Naylor having the big hit to unbreak. you don't have anything nice to say, this is a family-friendly show. Frustration. Class A has been so good, but not so good over the past few weeks. Since that he's given up that run, I'm kind of curious to go see what his, how, you know, I feel like that's what, the third or fourth run given up in May after he didn't give up a run since, or I'm sorry, it's third or fourth run in September after not having given up a run since like May. Giving up 2. And again, though, at the end of the day, like, this game should be over. This game should be over. Like, it should, you know, the blown call on Ahmed. Like, at the end of the day here, more than anything else, this game should have been over because Ahmed Rosario was home and he was safe. Like, for as mad as we get, for as annoyed as we get, for Class A having struggles when it matters the most after being as good as he is, it's like he shouldn't even be, he's not even supposed to be here today. He is not even supposed to be in this game because this game should be over and done with. Blown call and then not having the ability to review it. I mean, you're talking about a blown call that could affect a playoff outcome? That's where we are. We're at a blown call that, if things go south enough, could affect a playoff situation. That is incredibly frustrating. Incredibly frustrating. I just, maybe they need to do something better with reviews. Maybe they need to figure something out, or a way that, like, you know, they don't miss them, so someone in the box can be like, no, you got that wrong. Let's just overturn it to get it right. Like, doesn't the NFL have that kind of system anymore on, you know, situations? So Class A had given up, let's see, August, I thought it was longer. Oh, were those not? So August 6th, he gave up an earned run. July 6th, he gave up an earned run. And then you come into September. He's got the unearned run on September 5th against Kansas City. He's got, picks up the loss on September 7th against Kansas City with the 2 earned runs. And then the one, well, now 1 unearned and 2 total runs in this one. 4th blown save of the year. Cruddy time for that to happen. But, yeah. I just can't get past the fact, and, you know, I'm sure if you're listening, either you're going to be as frustrated as me, so you're going to also be fixated on this, that this game shouldn't be here. Like, this game should have been over. It should have been over. That's just the truth of it. A badly blown call. And yeah. That's just what it comes down to. Like, get it right. Why do I want robot umpires? I don't know if they would help in that. But, like, okay, so in that situation, the play comes down and then you watch the review and you're more likely to get it right. And that is my overall frustration. Because right now, if you're Cleveland, guess what? Naylor's out of this game. Your new DH is Richie Palacios. Your bench is down to... is it just Clement? Is there anyone else down there who's left? No, I guess there's Ty Freeman. Your bullpen, you still got Henches. McCarty is still here. I mean, he's your long guy if you need him. You got Shaw, you got Morgan, you got Henches. But Cleveland's bench is Freeman and it's Owen Miller. Okay, so we'll see what happens for Cleveland. It's just, like I said, for me as a fan of this team, it is incredibly frustrating to be like, here we are in the 11th. We're going to have to burn through the bullpen in a game that should have been done. And, I mentioned I really appreciate Joey Donuts, who's a White Sox fan. I just like tweet at me, and if Pollock doesn't fall down the first, it's bad luck for every team. I'm like, well, falling down is bad luck. Completely having a blown call at home plate is having a blown call at home plate. And it's not to rag on him at all. I get his point, but, like, one is bad luck and one is bad umpiring. And that is my frustration, that, like, the inability to do their job is what's making this game go later. I know I'm not being a great podcaster right now because I'm frustrated. I'm incredibly frustrated to be a Guardians fan. And that one goes back. That means the runner goes to third. Don't need much from Miller here. And hey, it's nighttime. If we talk about I haven't really talked about the Owen Miller, cold weather. Owen Miller, the Wisconsin kid, playing better in cold weather. So it's got to be cold in Chicago at night. He should be just raring to go right now. I'm looking at the podcast. We're at about 28 minutes in the digital format. So for the digital? It's all digital. In the audio format, I should say. So I'm going to call the audio podcast here. If you want more, you can go check out the YouTube, where I'm going to keep the live feed going for the time being. So I want to thank everyone who hopped in and took part, who is dealing with the same frustrations as I did as this one was live. Hopefully, when you listen tomorrow, you'll get to laugh at my anger because the Guardians won, and I won't make you additionally angry because of a loss. But I'm betting on a Guardians win. Again, thank you to everyone who rate and review, download the daily, subscribe on YouTube, do all of your things to help this show. And as every show ends, go Guardians, go. Okay, I am still here. So like I said, I'm keeping it going on the video component of this podcast. You get extra innings when you jump in and listen live. So with this game, runner on third, just get this run across and then go ahead and be nails. And yeah, like, is it too much to ask that they are? Just pull it off now. Who cares? Just get the win now. Oof. It's kind of funny because Diekman's a lefty, and Owen Miller, if anyone who follows my show regularly knows, not good against lefties. Out of curiosity, okay, chat. While I'm chatting and doing this, I need you to answer a question. I'm going to listen to part of my audio podcast to try to edit it. I need to put in an audio piece. I'm just curious if it pops up. So I'm going to actually turn off my audio feed for this one. Shift this. Because if I have any chance of, like, going to bed tonight and teaching in the morning, I have to multitask. So please let me know if you end up with double sound for a second. I mean, you're talking about... Was there a double sound there? Please let me know in the chat. That's where we are. We're been over. It should have been over. That's just the truth of it. Man, the catching situation is such a black hole. They started out so good, and then they were not. Okay, thank you guys for letting me know it was a double sound. That makes that frustrating. I guess I can leave some of my gaps and weirdness in this episode today. It's not that long. Just have some big gaps where I got, like, frustrated after the blown save in the second half of the show, so I'm trying to just cut out, because no one likes dead air, right? No one likes a dead air. I've learned the hard way that OBS apparently plays what I'm listening to after I had to cut a full minute out of a recent podcast because of that, and I don't know why, and that's something I should probably figure out in my settings at some point. Oh, brother. That was rather pitiful. So, my general feel, Luke Maley, he's got to be one of the roster cuts this offseason, right? He's got to be one of those guys who goes out because this team needs to add Bo Naylor. Like, that just needs to happen. It's as one of their big... Sorry, guys. Here's the double sound for a second. Come on, Straw. You haven't had a hit today. You've been playing very well of late. I've been your consummate defender this year. Like, when almost nobody else has been there. I still believe in you. Help me look less foolish. Help me out here, Straw. Help me, Miles Straw. You are my only hope. Let's see how many random movie references I can throw in here while I'm frustrated and trying to do some quick edits. And instead, he's going to foul it off his foot. So then they don't have an extra outfielder to put out there. That's what's going to happen. See, a nice thing about the live stream is it'll all populate over on the YouTube side of things, but I still have to do all the minor editing work and everything else for the other part. And let's see. I mean, I know I'm Central Time zoned, so it's only 11:25, but I still got to be up for work. So I'm recording now when this game ends, if this game ends at a reasonable hour. Otherwise, I feel like they're just going to be spiting me if this game keeps going on and on. You got a runner at third with no outs. You got runners scoring position. Like, just get it done. I always feel like my MLB feed is slow. Is it currently a 2-2 count in the real one? Like I said, I look at this White Sox team and I just think it just reminds me of like 2019 Guardians, where like the assumption was just like this team was going to run away with it, and then they underperformed badly, and just that frustration. So I can get why they'd be. Well, the weird thing with Straw, looking at the data as I have, okay, there we go. What was Derpy? You want to delete your statement? How you feeling right now, Derpy? You. Woo. Okay, yeah. See, I mean, I begged him, right? I was like, "Come on, I've defended you all year, man. Where's the love?" The weird thing with Straw is that when you go and you look at his data, his BABIP for his career, counting this year, is 300. 300 for his career, and that's with a 255 this year. And speed guys, even guys who can't hit for any power, and if you listen to yesterday's show, I apologize for repeating myself, they still typically have BABIPs over 300 because it's more about speed often. Speed is what will drive a bat. Like a slow guy will have a lower BABIP, a fast guy typically higher. And his being a 255 this year is incredibly low. And you go back and you look at the 1 month his BABIP was 300. It was July when he had a 95 runs created plus. So he's balancing out, by the way, no longer the worst offensive performer on this team. I'm not saying he's been great, but not the worst. And I don't think I really got a chance to talk about it, but I'm not sure if it was in chat, but I think it was more on Twitter earlier before I hopped on chat. That catch he makes in the eighth, that's not an easy catch. Like, not all center fielders get to that ball. And he made it look simple. We need, come on, Quan, get that knock in, get a little more insurance. There we go. Yes. 8-5. 4 hits for Quan today instead of 3. That's a nice feeling right now. Whew. I don't know why I have this in. I don't even have any sound coming in from this game anymore. I cannot hear the sadness from the other side as the Guardians put a 3 spot on Jake Diekman. And this will say Straw's had a 123 runs created plus inning in this game, and honestly, it just comes down to that. He's been incredibly unlucky. Anyone who's like give up on him is not doing a deep dive, because heading into this game, man, just don't let up. Don't let up. But the Ahmed and Straw, the difference in WAR this year is like 0.3, which I think would surprise a lot of people that they are that close. But it's Straw brings so much defensive value. Yeah, that's. I mean, I agree. We need Shaw. You need Shaw's veteran leadership to close this one out. No, I agree. I think they're a nightmare matchup because, you know, I was talking with an agent buddy the other day, and I really appreciate that the dude, and you know, he was just talking about how, you know, Cleveland's not running away with anything with this matchup, and he's talking about how, you know, I talked about on the show. It's like, I would not be doing that. Don't. Yeah, it'll be 10 if we win tonight for the magic number. Like, just keep trying. Don't risk getting a second out of third. And don't get punched in the nuts. Good on Quan for, like, taking that one like a champ. Does that still count as family friendly? Can I hopefully I'm not going to get reprimanded later for that. But listen, it happened. The replay clearly showed where that tag went. 9. And that's also the answer to will the White Sox win? 9. Like I said, why this to me is a backbreaker is when you have Dylan Cease on the mound, who, thanks to McClanahan's injury, it's not really a debate to me who the Cy Young Award winner is. And you got the other team has a guy who's barely pitched and has been their least effective starter this year. That's the game you count on. That's the game you sit back and go, we have this one. And instead, Cleveland's currently up 9-5. Are they really going to go and do a pitching change? Like, I know they brought in Ty Freeman as a righty to face the lefty, but come on. Yeah, okay. You don't want to burn another pitcher in this one. Like, and can I give some credit, too? Side note, like, I think Miguel Cairo is doing a heck of a job. Father of Christian Cairo, shortstop in the Guardian system. They've used a lot of pitchers tonight, and, you know, this is going to come back and be a hard loss for them. But what Cairo has stepped up and done since La Russa is gone to really turn this team around and some of the smart moves, I think Miguel Cairo has earned a chance to maybe be this White Sox manager in a year. I don't want him to be. Let's put it that way. I can't give a better compliment than I hope that he is. Twins lost again. Whew. We can see what's Brian Shaw. Can I click on his name? Oh, I can. Nice. In the MLB one. Let me go back to the Guardians. It's just, since I'm watching the out of town broadcast, it's just all the sadness. It's all the sadness. They're just showing their own fans being sad. Shaw is at, that's hits, 53 hits. That's not how many appearances he's had. Where's his appearances? I guess it's just games, not appearances. 57. So I gotta look at his contract. I believe at 60 it's a 250K. So contract details. I might have to go to COTS to get that because Sports Spot Rack didn't have the nitty gritty that I wanted to see with that one. I wanted to see his incentives in this one. Come on, where are the incentives? This one doesn't tell me exactly. But Cleveland.com will be good about mentioning what all the incentives are. It is just sad faces all around. 10! 10 spot. Oh boy, I mean, they're not even trying right now. Jeez. You know, if you want to be a real jerk right now, if you want to be a super jerk, Tito has promised he'd let Brian Shaw hit at some point. Maybe if you get past Jimenez, you can't do it for one of the catchers, that's for sure. You'd have to do it where you could move Clement in. But you need 2 more hits, 3 more hits. Like if you get back to Ahmed. No, and I agree, Michael. Twins, it's been an unfortunate situation. The injuries, specifically their starting pitching injuries, are just unlike anything. If they had, I don't want to sit there and say like they'd be in first in the division if they had not had their injuries to their pitching staff, but they would certainly be really competitive in this. They wouldn't be soon to be 8 games back and 2 games under 500. So it's the fun of this, because I had to fight to say that the Guardians weren't going to finish last in the division. And for the last 2 years, I've had this interaction where people are picking the Guardians to finish 4th or 5th. And there's just no belief. It's just such an underestimated team consistently. Where it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, their time is over, and now they're going to move over. It's like, no, their time is over, but that was just that core. The next core is already here, and the next core is coming up, and the next core after that. And now, I mean, you don't leave in Class A, right? But then who do you bring in? You don't want to burn him for an extra inning in this one in case you want to use him. So, do you go get Shaw? It might be Shaw. It could be Shaw time. I still haven't found the exact information on his incentives. I believe once he gets to 60, he starts getting $250,000. Yes, this doesn't have the incentives on it on Spot Rack. I believe it's 60 appearances. He's going to start making $250,000 for every 5 games. And it is Shaw for another appearance, getting him closer and closer to big money. What do we say? This is 59 this year now. 58. So he is 2 away from another $250,000 bonus. What a win. This was Dylan Cease versus Aaron Civale. And it's just, I mean, this is a gut punch. Part of me was like, everyone else enjoy. I mean, maybe you're not seeing it because I'm doing the out of town broadcast. I like the guy in the red Sox shirt right now with the giant Sox bling necklace. I mean, I do actually like that red Sox shirt. I think I kind of like. Maybe it's because I'm 40, and I kind of have that old school love for like the 1980s White Sox uniform that I'm sure is kind of terrible, but is part of just my age group. So I actually like the shirt, but the bling was just kind of funny to see as this guy is leaning over in those seats. And the girlfriend's got it too. I just realized that they both got giant blingy necklaces. Hey, whatever makes you happy. They're not hurting anyone with that. As this game continues on, should I do my traditional stuff that I just didn't have time to do in the first half? Who has reached base twice? Well, Quan is now up to 4 hits. Rosario reached base twice. Jose reached base twice. Naylor with the 2 hits. With that big hit for Straw, he reached base twice in this one. And then 2 walks by Owen Miller, right? So, I mean, multiple players. Pitching-wise, it's hard to hate on Civale. I know he just got overused. In 5 innings, he allowed 5 base runners. You'll take it. Only 2 strikeouts is not ideal. 2 earned runs is fine over 5. If he hadn't been pushed out into the 6th, it's 0. Sandlin didn't really do his job in this one. He's been really great, though, for the most part. Trevor Stephan got a little dicey. He got through it. 99 was great. Aniel did his job. Clase did not. Shaw, we'll see if he can do his job here. If he doesn't, it's going to be... I might end up crying. But he just got a strikeout there in a full count, so you'll take that for sure. Overall box score right now, Cleveland has 11 hits and 7 walks. Is that right? They have weeks they don't get 7 walks. So that is 18 opportunities and then 1 error. 19 opportunities. So 19 opportunities should be good for about 6 to 7 runs. They have 10. Overperformed, especially because here's what's crazy about overperforming to that level. Shaw was just the second extra base hit in this game. The second extra base hit. That's really unusual to see a team overperform to that degree with 2 extra base hits. Other side of things, White Sox had 8 hits. They had... Here's the thing, though. They don't walk either. They had 1 walk. That's part of the problem with their team in general. That's 9. They had 10 opportunities. That should be 3 to 4 runs. They ended up with 5 in this one, and they only had 1 extra base hit. It was that double, or no? Man, a Braves hit didn't end up being a double. It was Elvis Andrus had the double there. And yeah, Cleveland should have won this one, and it looks like they will win this one. 3 stars. It's hard to not give one of the 3 stars to Civale, but I feel like I can't because Quan with 4 hits, that's an auto one. Naylor with the big hit and extras, and he had 2 hits. And listen, I got to give it to Straw. That double was the backbreaker that set this thing up. Like, if I'm talking my 3 stars in this game, you have to include Straw. That hit, that is the hit of the game. That is the hit of the game. Oof. Is that getting out? That's getting out. Uh, was that Pollock or was that someone else? I'm not fully locked in right now. Yeah, it was Pollock. Listen, Shaw's not good. Like, honestly, Shaw shouldn't be on the postseason roster. It won't happen. I know that. But, like, he shouldn't be on the postseason roster. There's two. Let's get this done. So, do you feel like Shaw gave up that home run so he'd have a save opportunity? Like, so here's the funny thing: Shaw gave up that home run. Now he earns himself a save, right? Because now it's a 3-run game. That seems. Is it really that for contracts? It feels like that's low for the White Sox, but then again, we do know that they weirdly don't spend. They have a rather cruddy ownership situation, which when you get right down to it, it's like, listen, I have my own issues with Cleveland's ownership, but Chicago might be worse. The Chicago front office was building something nice, and their ownership stepped on their toes and made them take on La Russa. This has Sport Rack, which is not always perfect, or Spot Rack, has the White Sox at 196 and Cleveland at 66. Do that? Oh, I didn't know they have a crappy TV deal. Listen, well, Shaw's bonus isn't based on saves, but he can use that for arguing for more money next year. It's one of the big things. Like, if Tito comes back, Shaw's coming back, right? Like, it's going to be part of what happens. And there's another one. Where they're only giving him a double, not saying a home run. Tito's talking like he's coming back. I know he's got his health issue, but it sounds like he's having fun. And they're good again. I think if they weren't good, he wouldn't come back. But they're good, so he's going to want to come back. If he comes back, then Shaw comes back. Not right away. They won't pick up his option. But he has been significantly worse than a year ago. And he was not very good a year ago. You're sending out Carl Willis to be like, you can't screw this up. Here's the conversation. Ready? Garcia's terrible. Just throw him something low. He's terrible. Have you seen how bad he is? This guy's awful. If it goes out over the middle of the plate, it's fine. He can't hit it. Just make contact and the defense will get to it. I believe that's what Carl Willis just said on the mound. That's if I could read lips. Garcia was a guy. Garcia is Tony La Russa's version of Brian Shaw. He has been overexposed, overused, and overplayed because for whatever reason they love him to death. La Russa loves him to death, but he has been not so good this year. Yeah, you're a little behind, Michael T. Right now, it is there we go. Garcia does, his Garcia thing and pops up to second base. That's a Garcia spot. Cleveland wins 10-7 tonight. What a win. Magic number is 10 now. Magic number is 10 games. And they end with 6 against Kansas City. This also guarantees that they win the season series against the White Sox, which means that while the lead is 5, it's really 5.5. So it is a 5.5 game lead for Cleveland, essentially, right now. It was 12 yesterday. I had it wrong a few days ago. It was 12 yesterday. This counts as 2, so this gets them down to 10. It wasn't whatever I wrote on the show yesterday was the correct one. I wrote it on the if I go to my videos, because I double checked that and talked to someone. So I am pretty sure it was 12. No, it was 12 yesterday, so it is down to 10 now. You got 3 against the White Sox, or 3 White Sox, 2 against the White Sox. Yeah, Chicago is supposed to walk away with this division, with the Twins, and then the Tigers was the prediction from most people. Cleveland was at best 4th. I'm mad at myself because I sat there and said that this team would win 80 games, and then I didn't bother to. I'm not a gambler. I read a lot of ad reads, but I'll be honest, I'm not a gambler. But I was like, there's no way this team doesn't get to 80 wins. I believe this team's going to get to 80 wins. 80. It was 76 was the line, and I could have made myself a good chunk of change if I just listened to myself. I still got to do a locked on now for this. And, I mean, I had us losing this one, Skrills. I'm not going to lie. I had us losing this one because Cease was pitching with Civale on the other side. I can't pretend like I thought they were going to win this one. I did not think they were going to win this one. What's a fun team? And like, if they make the postseason, I think they're going to have the least at bats by a player over 30 ever. Like, was that in like a Mandy Bell piece? That this will be essentially I think Jose just turned 30 this week, and Maley was over is there? No, because he's still under arbitration, but he's not 30. But yeah, they've had like almost nobody over 30 on this team, so they're younger than every AAA team. They're younger than every MLB team, and I'll just keep pointing out that the big prospects haven't even hit yet. The top 5 prospects are just sitting down there waiting to be reinforcements in the near future. And that's kind of what stinks. Like, if Daniel Espino hadn't gotten hurt, imagine throwing him into the back of this pen. Imagine how good this pen is already and what you could have done with that. That's the one that I can't help but wonder about. Just because he could have been taking that pen to a new dimension. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to I kind of just want to sit back and enjoy the feeling. And then frantically, because it's almost midnight my time and I have to be up in like 6 hours to just figure this out. Quan, can we call it? I want to watch how I say this. Quan is, I believe, Taiwanese. I don't want to get myself in trouble. Do not want to get myself in trouble. Or his parents were. He's from California, but I believe his parents are Taiwanese. But I want to get this correct. Right. So he is Chinese and Japanese descent. It is... Is it wrong to compare him to Ichiro? Like, just because it's like, yeah, is it a lazy comp because they're both Asian players? But just what he's done as a rookie, like, yeah, it's the guy he reminds you of. And like, nobody's Ichiro, because, I mean, Ichiro might be the best pure hitter of my lifetime. Like, just pure hitter. If he had been here all along, he would have threatened record books. But, like, can he be Ichiro light? Maybe. What he has shown this year is rather amazing. Like, nobody thought, I've for many a year. Let me pull up the exact quote. that's not going to turn up anything because I didn't put a space in it. So since Manny Ramirez, drafted, signed, or developed the top outfielders by B-WAR since 1991, Luke Scott, Ryan Church, Joe Nunley, heading into this year, Tyler Naquin, and Ben Francisco. Those are your top 5. If you count Joe Inglet, he would be in there as well. He's the one you can debate. But that's your top 5 outfielders. By the way, this year, by B-WAR, Stephen Kwan, I believe, is at almost a 4. So he is on already the... I'd have to look and see what Naquin has done as well. But Kwan would already be 4th based on his first year on that list. And Oscar Gonzalez might make it as well. Like, for a team that has struggled to develop outfielders, what they have with those 2 rookies this year is kind of phenomenal. Because again, since Manny Ramirez was drafted in 1991, heading into this year, the 5th best outfielder by WAR, Ben Francisco, at a 2.5. Oscar is at a 1.7 this year. Kwan is at a 4.5. It's kind of an amazing change for this team. Yeah, it's we'll see if he won't obviously get in the top 3 this year, but yeah, it's quite a fun change for a team that couldn't do anything right for so long in the outfield, that they have 2 rookies who have a chance to surpass, kind of break through that almost. I guess the crazier thing too is there was also the stretch where, so they draft Lindor in 2011. 2012, their first pick is an outfielder, Naquin. 2013, their first pick is an outfielder, Frazier. 2014, is Zimmer, right? 2015, I feel like I'm missing something in here. Okay, so 2014, yeah, so it went Naquin, Frazier, Zimmer. They also took Mike Pappy in the first round of 2014. 2015 was they took Aiken and McKenzie to break it up. Then 2016 was Benson. 2017 was Quentin Holmes, who they just released. So there was a stretch where they were just drafting all these outfielders, had very little to show for it. And then Stephen Kwan, who was an afterthought, and Oscar Gonzalez, who could have left this team in free agency, are the guys who finally break through. Well, he's no longer a prospect. He's played too much, so he doesn't qualify as a prospect. Top outfield prospect currently it's Valera, but I mean I got myself in some trouble with some people because if you look at the numbers, Valera is at age relative to level, and in terms of like approach and a lot of other things, there's a lot of Clint Frazier, and I know he's Jackson Frazier now instead. The numbers are eerie between Frazier and Valera, so I always just do a little bit of cautioning. Well, I mean, part of I think the Cleveland love for Latino flavor is nice, Mike. That's a good statement. They've done so well in there was the period of time where they couldn't do anything in the Latin American market. Like, I remember when I was first started writing around 2007, 2008 at what was then Indians Prospect Insider. Talking about how they hadn't developed anything. It was like Victor Martinez and Rafty Perez, and then there was nothing for the longest time. They just could not do anything. For the Guardians for next, personally, I don't think outfield's the big need. I am totally content to run out Straw, Kwan, and Gonzalez for next year. And if Gonzalez or Kwan, or I don't think it's going to be Kwan, but if Gonzalez or Straw turn into a pumpkin, then you hope that a Will Brennan or a Valera is ready to go. if you can get a big bat, like that's about the only separator for me. If you could really go out and get that guy. Yeah, I mean, catcher is. I think we all got a little bit slap happy with them because they started to look okay in the second half, but I don't know what you do. Like that Travis Sawchek piece was really eye opening to me. Um, about the value of Hedges, and it's like as a backup, Hedges is great, but what do you roll next year? Like, and for as much as we all want to think the answer is going to be Bo Naylor, just look at a year ago. Like when Bo Naylor completely fell apart, and look at what Lavastida did last year and look what he did this year. That's my only hesitation. Like we're basing a lot off of this year. And but Bo was great. But look what Lavastida did. Look what happened. I don't think he is. Catchers are the riskiest position on a baseball field. Bar none. Riskiest position on the baseball field belongs to the catcher. And I don't know if it's the smartest move to put all of your eggs in the basket of any young catcher. I don't know if Contreras fits their profile. Like I said, I would not be shocked at all if they revisit Sean Murphy. I think that he kind of fits a lot of what they like. Would have been nice if they drafted him instead of Logan Ice back in the day. Here's the thing: Sean Murphy, his final year at Wright State, back in 2016, he broke his hamate bone and didn't get to play a ton. I actually got to see him play Youngstown State at which is it? Mahoning Valley's minor league stadium. The one where Youngstown State plays, and it was in a pouring rainstorm. And there's like 3 scouts there, one of them from Oakland. And man, Murphy's times out of the box, like as a runner, were like top 10 that I had gotten that year. It was a pelting down, like disgusting, terrible rain. They're making him play in it. And I mean, it's hard to hit a baseball because it is so wet, and he is just hammering the ball to the whole field in that game. And I left that game and I go, this guy is a first round pick. And I stuck by it. And I was very disappointed when the Guardians drafted Logan Ice over him. And I remain very disappointed in that. And, Murphy is, he's gotten a little better every year. And you look at what he's doing this year, he's got a 125 OPS plus. He's probably on his way to another Gold Glove. You get him through 23, 24, and 25, 3 more years. Like it's a high cost to pay, but he's the real deal, guaranteed thing. And you can never be sure that any catching prospect is gonna be. I got into it heavily with people over the years with Mejia, and it's like he hasn't figured out that you can go through the long line of catching prospects that have not worked, and that always makes me very hesitant with that position. Sandy Alomar is weird. If you actually ever go look at his numbers, he was not that good because he was never healthy. Like, he was amazing in 97. He was amazing in 90. But for the most part, during his career, he was just not healthy. Like, I think he had 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons with a WAR over 2. Like, he was one of those guys that he had 4 seasons where he played in over 100 games for Sandy Alomar Jr. Just 4 seasons with over 100 games that he caught because he was always hurt. Like the story with Sandy Alomar, for as much as we remember him, part of the reason he stayed in Cleveland forever is because he never made huge money because he was never healthy. I mean, his peak salary was under $3 million. His peak, the highest he ever got was 2.9 because he was never ever healthy. 97 he was great, and let's see. I was just kind of looking at his WAR by year. Yeah, so he had a 2.8 WAR when he won the Rookie of the Year, the last Cleveland player to do so. 94, he had a 2.1, a 3.8, and 97. And those are the only 3 years the WAR was over 2. As a matter of fact, those are the only 3 years his WAR was over 1.5. So we remember him fondly, but he was one of those guys that, man, injuries. DeLatter is very interesting. I wish we actually got to see him play. He's not who I would have taken. He was the 13th rated player on my board, so he's a good value, but I really like Drew Gilbert, who I think got hurt already, unfortunately, and I loved. Why am I blanking on him? Cam Collier, who went to the Reds. Future first baseman for this team. Nolan Jones. For as much as we don't talk about Nolan Jones, he's still top 10 in runs created plus for the Guardians this year. From that run, if he can figure out a little bit more, he can offer a profile that'll be effective, I think, there. So I think Nolan Jones is my guy. John Kenzie Noel is interesting. I just wonder if he is going to be Scott Morgan Redux, if you want to be someone who spent a lot of time studying the minors. I just wonder if he's going to be able to hit enough. Yeah, Nolan Jones, by the way, 92 runs created plus. The only guys higher on the team this year: Ahmed, Naylor, Kwan, Oscar, Jimenez, Jose. Let's see, John Kenzie maybe called up to AAA. Side note, I think I saw that today. Oh, no, I'm very excited to see what Gavin Williams has to offer. Listen, they got him because he had health concerns in college. He hasn't shown any signs of those. A solid 3-pitch mix. I think he's probably more number 2 than an ace, but I think he could be a very good number 2. He's currently, to me, the number 2 prospect in the system. And I just think, if I'm being honest, I don't think he makes it to Cleveland next year. I don't think the way they timeline guys, and I think they're going to maybe slow him down up. Sandy's 1997 might be the single greatest year a catcher has ever had for Cleveland, and Victor and Carlos had some great moments, but that 97 season, it seemed like everything he touched was pure gold. Didn't he also have a 20-game hit streak in that 97 season? It was amazing. Well, the thing with Naylor at first base is I just wonder if he's more of a DH long term. Fosse is always the great what if. Him getting run over really changed everything. I mean, I don't know anyone who really likes Plesac, his old agency most of all, because they cut him, but I still think he's a useful pitcher. He's a solid 5, and when he's not doing dumb things, he's actually pretty healthy. He doesn't... All of his injuries have been because he's done something really dumb. What will be interesting with him is that he's already... Technically, he's not arbitration eligible, but he's getting arbitration. So he's going to start getting more expensive. So I would not be shocked if they decide to move on from him. I just don't know if there's... The problem with Plesac is, what's the value? What do you really net from him? That's my one hold up on saying they'll Bauer him. I just don't know. I mean, I guess the pitching market is always rough, and you wait to see who's desperate. You kind of wait in the weeds and see what's available at a later point in time. I mean, the guy I was kind of hoping for there was talk that the Phillies liked him, and I wanted to get Logan O'Hoppe, who the Phillies traded to the Angels for Brandon Marsh. And you can see some really great stuff that, what the Phillies have done to help Marsh become more effective, and you can also see how good Hoppy is the Angels' number one prospect. But I think Prisak, I don't know what the value is. It's hard to figure it out. Well, everyone, I hate to do this, but it is 10 after 12. I've gone 81 minutes here. I gotta do a lockdown now, and I still gotta upload everything. So I appreciate the chatter. I appreciate the fun. I've just got to run. If I'm gonna get everything done before 1 a.m. my time, since I gotta be up by 6 a.m. to teach, I gotta go. And tomorrow, I'm doing an interview that will appear on Sunday with Mark Howell from 92 something, The Fan in Columbus. So on Sunday in Columbus, you'll hear me. But yeah, like and subscribe if you can. Those are always appreciated. We're working our way up to that whole fun. I can't say the word monetizing of it. So getting us close to 1,000 is much appreciated. I will try to do this more often. It's always a matter of timing. But thank you, everyone. This was a really fun chat to have. And have a great evening and savor this win.